Ramayana Kalpavrksam.
Ikshvaku Vamsha Prabhavo Ramo Nama Janai Shruta. One who was born into and made resplendent the Ikshvaku clan. Such a one is known by the name Rama, by one and all, says Valmiki. I welcome you all once again to Rama Amrita, the conference segment of the Ramayana Kalpavrksam festival. Vishwanatha Satyanarayana, in the Avatarika, the first section of the Ramayana Kalpavrksam, says in one padyam, which starts with Vrasina Ramachandra Katha, the story that I have written. He says, Ta chesina tandri agyayunu jeevuni vedana rendu nekamai na sakala uha vaibhava sanathamu natha kathan rachinchitin. The adherence to his father's word, the suffering of mankind, these two merged in my consciousness, and I wrote this story of Sri Ramachandra. Let us begin by starting with the first phase of this story, some important messages from the original text, the Valmiki Ramayana, which Ami Ganatra will talk to us about today. In the Ramayana Kalpavrksam, Rama says this to Vali: Evvadevvandu tana karmam enta ento అనుభవింపంగ వలయున అంతంత తద్ అనుభూతిలో వాని చిత్ర ప్రవృత్తి కొంత భాగము తెలియని అంతవరకు. Means, the Telugu people, you don't really need the translation, but I will give you the translation. So he says, while experiencing the results of one's karmas, one cannot but help reaping appropriate consequences until one is introduced at last, in part, to one's own true nature. Similarly, Tyagaraja says, Manassu nilpa shakti lekapote, madhura ganta virula puja nemi chesunu. Ghana durmadudai, tamunigite, kaveri mandakini emi brochunu. If one is unable to control and concentrate his mind, will any amount of worship with tolling bells and fragrant flowers be of any avail? How can a dip in the Kaveri or the Ganga redeem one who is consumed by arrogance and haughtiness? An author of two hugely successful books, Mahabharata Unraveled and Ramayana Unraveled, Ami Ganatra is an alumni of IIM Ahmedabad and has over 15 years of experience in business strategy and consulting. She is a certified yoga instructor and, as she says, an eternal student of Sanskrit and Indian knowledge systems. I invite Ami, the first speaker of Rama Amrita, to talk to us about Sankalp, Paap and Prayaschitta from the Valmiki Ramayana. Over to Ami Ganatra.
Namaskaram, Jai Shri Ram. Jai Jai Shri Ram. Ramayana Kalpavrksam. The person, the Rishi, who planted this vriksha, I think it's only right we start with a small vandan to Rishi Valmiki. Kujantam Rama Rameti Madhuram Madhuraksharam Aruhya Kavita Shakham Vande Valmiki Kokilam Harihi Om. Jai Shri Ram once again. I am really nervous today, and the reason is I am speaking today in front of so many distinguished scholars, and I can only hope I do justice to Anupamaji's selection of asking me to come here. So, bowing down to all the distinguished scholars and all of you here, I will start my talk. The one thing that has always fascinated me about Indian epics, Itihas, especially Ramayana and Mahabharata, is the portrayal of the negative character. Unlike what we usually see, there is a God and there is a devil, and devil is everything evil. That's not how we typically see it. Because if you see the so-called villains, they are not ordinary people. There is a semblance of greatness even in them. And as I talk about some of the stories from Valmiki Ramayana, you will see that why I have chosen the name of the topic as Paap and Prayaschitta Sankalp, perspectives from Valmiki Ramayana. Oh, sorry, okay. So the word Paap is very interesting. We translate it as sin, but Vachaspatyam or the Sanskrit dictionaries, they have a definition of it which says, Pati rakshati asmat atmanam pa apadane paha. Apadan is to take away. Take away what? Protection of the Atma. So when you take away the protection of the Atma, what happens? Self-destruction happens. So what is Papa? That which leads to self-destruction. Now it's interesting. If we look at Ravan, who is the villain, so to say, of Valmiki Ramayana, it is not as if he does not have any gunas. In fact, when first time Hanumanji sees him in his court after the Vidwams of Ashok Vatika, and when Hanumanji sees him in his court, he says, Aho Rupam, Aho Dhairyam, Aho Sattvam, Aho Dyutihi, Aho Rakshasa Rajyasya, Sarva Lakshana Yuktata. Are, just look at this man. Look at his Rupa, look at his Sattva, look at his Vyaktitva. He has all the lakshanas of being a great man. And if only, yadi adharmam na balvan syat, if only his adharma was not so big, what would have happened? He would have become the protector of the entire universe along with Indra himself. But in spite of that, Ravan did what he did and eventually had to be killed by Sri Ram. Why did he do that? Actually, this question that why do people commit such papa is asked by Arjun in Bhagavad Gita. And he says, Athak kena prayoktoyam papam charati purushaha. Anichhanapi varshneya. Sometimes they don't know, they don't even want to think of it as papa. But still they do it. Why do they do that? And Krishna says, Kama esha krodha esha rajoguna samudbhavam. That is the kama and krodha which leads to it. However, Mandodari gives a very beautiful answer to this. After Ravan is dead, Mandodari, she's obviously lamenting, she's unhappy, she's lost all her sons, she's now lost her husband. Now she's not complaining that why Sri Ram killed Ravan, all that she's not doing. Instead, she says something very interesting. She says, Indriyani purajitva jitana tribhuvan tvaya. Before, after having conquered all your indriyas, after having conquered all your senses, you conquered the three lokas. Smarat bhi. Now having remembered tad vairam. These indriyas, having remembered that vaira because you controlled them, now what they have done? Nirjita. They have now controlled you. And because you became slave, because you became conquered by the indriyas, your downfall happened. No complaints. You know, Ajkal there is this trend that we look at Ramayana Mahabharata as a social conflict, sociological conflict amongst people. Yeah, Aryan Ram, Dravidian Ravan and all of that. Mandodari doesn't think of it that way. Mandodari also accepts why her husband had to be killed the way he had to be killed. And she's right. To achieve the tapasya, to achieve the vardhan that Ravan did is not easy. Having done that, to have to do that, obviously he had to be very disciplined. He had to take a sankalpa and had to do all that was needed to achieve the sankalpa. So it is not as if he did not know how to control the senses, or it's not as if he hadn't done that. In fact, there is a story which comes that after he acquired all the power and the vardhan, of course a little bit of arrogance has started to come. But till now, the buddhi nasha had not happened. Like how Krishna says, no? Dhyayato vishayan punsaha sangas teshu upajayate. Sangat sanjayate kama. Kamat krodho bhi jayate. क्रोधाद भवति सम्मोह, सम्मोहाद स्मृति विभ्रम, स्मृति विभ्रमाद बुद्धिनाशो, बुद्धिनाशाद प्रणश्यति. This kama krodha, what do? They lead to sammohan. They delude your brain. They destroy your memory. You don't even know what consequences could have happened. You forget who you are fighting with. What happens when smriti vibhrama happens? Buddhi nasho, the vivek buddhi is lost. When vivek buddhi is lost, pranashyati, you will be destroyed. Krishna says that. So till then, initially, when he had acquired the Vardhan, his buddhi nasha, that level had not happened. But still the arrogance had started to come. So he would go around challenging different kings and he would be like, I can defeat you, fight with me. In one such incident, he goes and fights with Vali. Now, Vali is very, very strong. Okay, Vali is very, very strong. Vali shows him his place and Vali basically defeats him. Now at that time, Ravan is like, good. You are better than me, forget it, let's be friends, let's be brothers and khatam. Kar diya, Mandwali kar diya aur chal diya. Okay? So then it was fine. So at that time he was still not that egoistic that when it came to Sri Ram, because everybody told him that what you are doing will lead to destruction. He doesn't listen. Anyways, Ravan, Mandodari told us what led to his destruction. Let's talk about Vali. Such a powerful man who also defeated Ravan. And he was killed by Sri Ram hiding behind a tree. Now this incident leaves a bad taste in a lot of people because people are like, "Arey, पीछे से तो मार ही नहीं सकते. Sri Ram is Maryada Purushottam. How can he do that?" And then in different versions, different stories are given that actually Vali had such a power that if somebody fights with him aage se, he would take away half of their strength. Yeah? And hence it was justified. But you know what? In Valmiki Ramayana, Sri Ram himself says why he killed him the way he killed him. Yeah? No apology, nothing. And in fact, Vali asks him that, "Arey, I thought you were a person of dharma. But look at you, you just wear the clothes of a tapasvi. But you are very adharmic. Because why else will you kill me like this? I did not have a fight with you. I have done nothing to Ayodhya. Then why did you kill me?" Sri Ram tells him, "Arey, what dharma you're talking about? Do you know what is dharma?" He says, "How did you rule? Kama tantra pradhanascha sthita na sthita rajavartamni." He says, by your focus was only on your kama, your lust, your whims. And because of that, you never walked on the path that is required for a Raja. What Raj Dharma, you forgot your Raj Dharma. In fact, if you knew Raj Dharma, you would have done exactly what I have done and you wouldn't be arguing with me. And he says, "Let me tell you why I killed you." He says, "Bhratru vartasi bharyayam tyaktva dharma sanatanah." You violated your younger brother's wife while he was still alive forcibly. And you gave up the Sanatan Dharma. You gave up Dharma. What is the danda for somebody like this? He says that a younger brother is like a son to the elder brother. With that relation, a younger brother's wife is your daughter-in-law, is like a daughter to you. But what did you do? Bhratru bharya abhimarshano asmin. You violated your younger brother's wife, and for somebody who does that, dando ayam vadha eva. Mrityu danda is the danda for such a person. And he goes on to explain that aurasim bhaginim anujasya bharya, sister, daughter, and younger brother's wife, who's like a daughter-in-law to you, yaha nara kamat pracharet. One who violates a woman who's a sister or daughter, younger brother's wife or daughter-in-law out of kama sakti, tasya danda vadha smrutaha. He said that is the vadha is the danda prescribed for them. Hence, I was not fighting with you. Don't be in that impression. I am the representative of Bharat, who's the Chakravarti king of Bharat Varsha. And being his representative, it is my kartavya to establish dharma wherever I am. So I have actually done what my Raj Dharma wants me to do. So now you don't argue with me, accept the punishment. Because if you accept the punishment, then what will happen? Nirmalaha Swarga Ayanti. You will go to Swarga. Because now I have given you Danda, you have accepted it, you've received your karma phala. And then he says, if you had known Raj Dharma, you would know what Manuji had said. Manuji had said that if a criminal is brought in front of a Raja, and if a Raja gives him punishment, then the criminal gets his karma phala and he's cleansed. But if the Raja knowingly does not punish and lets him go, the criminal is still free. But the Raja gets the papam. Hence, I have done what was the right thing to do. Now you accept it and go to Swargaloka. This is what Sri Ram says. No justifications, no other story, nothing needed. Extremely clear. And this clarity of Sri Ram about Raj Dharma, it is unparalleled. It's very easy for us to judge him, "Arey, aise kar diya, waise kar diya." But if you now measure his decisions on the parameters of him living Raj Dharma, you will see that at any point in time there is no doubt in his mind about what is the right thing to do. Now, who taught him this Raj Dharma? Of course, he might have known. But in Valmiki Ramayana, there is one prasanga that comes where Vishwamitra ji teaches Sri Ram his first practical lessons of Raj Dharma. We all know this story when Sri Ram was only 16, not even 16. Vishwamitra ji, he goes to Dashrath and asks for Sri Ram because some Rakshasas, Subahu and Marish, were not allowing them to complete the yagna. And he says, give me Ram, I'm sure he can protect my yagna and I will finish my yagna. Now obviously Dashrath ji doesn't want to send. He's like, my son is very young, how can I let him go? Rakshasas are very powerful, all of that. And he pretty much refuses to send. At that time, Vashishtha ji says, you don't worry, it is not as if Vishwamitra is not capable of controlling this. Swayameva nigrahane shaktaha. He says he's swayameva nigrahane shaktaha. He's himself capable of protecting. But why has he come to you? Tava putra hitarthaya. He's come for the benefit of your son. So let him go. I know Vishwamitra. Okay. So then they go and lots of astras and all that Vishwamitra ji gives. And they reach this place called Tadkavan. Yeah. And over there, Sri Ram and Lakshmana are like, "Arey Babri, why is this jungle so bhayanak? That it seems like there is no life here. What has happened?" And Vishwamitra ji tells him about this Rakshasi called Tadka, who had destroyed 2 living civilizations over there. And he says, this lady needs to be killed, this Rakshasa needs to be killed, because otherwise nothing will ever live here. And Sri Ram is like, "Arey, but she's a lady. How do I kill a lady?" Right? That is what our Shastras tell us. You cannot kill a lady. And Vishwamitra ji tells him something very, very important. He says, Nahi stri vadhe krute ghrina karya narottamaha. You should not think twice about it. You don't have to show compassion here. Chatur varna hitarthaya kartavyam raja sunana. A Yuvraj should do, it is his kartavya to do all that he needs to do for the protection of everybody. He's saying Chaturvarna, for everybody he needs to do what he needs to do. Nrishasam va, anrishasam va. Be it cruel, be it kind. Praja rakshana karanat. For the protection of his praja, for the protection of his citizens. Patakam va sadosham va. Kartavya rakshatam satam. Rajabhara niyuktanam eshaha dharma sanatanaha. The one who has been given the responsibility of a rajya, the one who is a king, there is only one dharma for him. Praja rakshan. And for praja rakshan, he needs to do or she needs to do all that is needed to be done. Irrespective of whether you think this is a Paap Yukta karma or this is a good thing or a bad thing. No, no, no. If that action is good for your citizens, you need to do that. If that action is going to protect your citizens, you need to do that without thinking twice. And then he says, Adharmyam jahi kakustha, dharmo hi asyam na vidyate. Kakustha, hey Ram, kill her, win over her. There is not an iota of dharma in her. And then we know what happens. So this absolutely unequivocal definition of Raj Dharma is given to Sri Ram by Vishwamitra. And Vashishti says, I know this. I know him, let Ram go with him. But Vishwamitra ji was not always Vishwamitra. Now there's a very beautiful story of Vishwamitra ji himself. He was a Raja. He was a king. Kaushik Raja. Yeah? And I'm not going to the details of it, but he had a tussle with Vashisht Muni. And he realizes that he is not able to defeat Vashisht ji because he thinks he doesn't have the strength which Vashisht ji has, and he wants to achieve that Brahmanatva which Vashisht ji has. And hence he starts a tapasya. Why? So that he could defeat Vashisht ji. He had no noble intentions when he started his tapasya. Okay. But still he starts his tapasya. He is very persistent. He keeps going on and on and on. After a few years, Brahmaji comes and says, oh, very nice, very nice. Now you're a Raj Rishi. Kaushik, not Vishwamitra yet. Kaushik says, I don't want to be Raj Rishi. I want to be Brahma Rishi. Brahmaji says, not yet there. Continue. Yeah. Now after a few years, while he's still doing his tapasya, Menaka comes. Menaka is an apsara, extremely pretty. Yeah. And when Kaushik sees her, he's completely kama asakta. Then they stay together for a few years. Only after a few years, he realizes what happened. He'd forgotten about his tapasya because of the kama asakti. And he realizes, Are Bapre, all these years have now gone vyartha. What do I do? So he asks Menaka to go, and he starts his tapasya again to control his kama. Now, Indra being Indra, after a few years, sends Rambha. Okay, he thinks, let's see if he's achieved that control over Kam. Now, when Kaushik sees Rambha, he now knows there is some trick here because he's achieved control over Kam. Yeah? And as soon as he sees Rambha, he realizes there is some trick going on here, so he becomes very angry and he curses Rambha. But as soon as he curses, he realizes the issue. Krodh par to abhi kabu nahi aaya. The krodh is still there. Okay. So then he realizes, ab to krodh pe bhi kabu chahiye. I need to win over my krodha as well. And again he starts tapasya. Now after a few years, he's been hungry for many years. He's done a nirahara vrata and all that. And then he finishes his sankalpa and he's just about to eat. He makes some prasada for himself and he's just about to eat. Again Indra comes. Indra always comes. So again he comes as a Brahman this time. And he comes as a Atithi to ask for food. And he thinks maybe Kaushik will become very angry because he's just about to eat. He's hungry, he's just about to eat. But by now, Kaushik had achieved control over his krodha as well. So he very happily lets the Brahman Atithi have his food and just goes back to doing his sadhana again. So now the krodha has also been achieved. And now Brahmaji comes and says, now you're ready to become a Brahma Rishi. I can call you a Brahma Rishi. And Kaushik, and he basically says, now you're Vishwamitra. And Vishwamitra ji says, no, I will not accept if you tell me. If Vashisht ji tells me, then I will accept. And Vashisht ji comes and says, no, you are a Brahma Rishi now. And the seed of this tapasya, which was actually getting back the revenge, the matsarya, it has now all just evaporated. Because now that control has been achieved. Now the buddhi, the veg buddhi has become jagrita. And the sankalpa, which was actually to fight, has now turned into the sankalpa, which eventually became control over kam, krodha, lobha, moha, mad, matsarya. Now, okay, I have 5 more minutes. Okay. Now, who told this story to Sri Ram? This story was told to Sri Ram by the Raj Purohit of Mithila. His name was Shatananda. And you know who was Shatananda? Any guesses? Of course you know, Vinay. Shatananda is the son of Ahalya and Gautam. Everybody's heard of Ahalya? What is the story? We all know the story of Ahalya. She had become a stone and Sri Ram came and did her uddhara. Okay. Now let me tell you the story from Valmiki Ramayana. And you will see how beautifully consistent the stories even within Ramayana are. Okay. So what happens? While Vishwamitra ji is taking Sri Ram and Lakshman to Mithila, they see this ashram just outside of Mithila. it's a beautiful ashram, but they can't see anybody over there. And Sri Ram asks that, whose ashram is this? And Vishwamitra ji says, this is the ashram of Gautam and Ahalya. Let me tell you the story of Ahalya. And he says, Ahalya was this very, very beautiful wife of Gautam Rishi. They lived here happily for many years. And then again, Indra comes. Yeah? Indra is, at last, this beautiful wife of Gautam Rishi. We all know till here. Okay. So, wearing the vesh of a Muni, Indra goes to Ahalya and says, Sangamam ichhami tvaya saha. I wish to have Sangam with you. Ahalya, so now we are told, Sahastraksham Vignaya. She figured this is Indra. No confusion. Matim chakara durmedhe devaraja kutuhalat. Just imagine a very, very powerful, good-looking man desires you. You'll be like, wow, anybody would be, right? It's only human. So she knows it is Indra. Sahastraksha is what Indra is called, the one with the 1,000 eyes. Vignaya, knowing Mati Chakara Durmedhe, Devaraja Kutuhalat, she accepts, she consents in today's language. She consents. It's a mutual consent. Okay. And there is another line which comes. Maybe somebody will say, maybe that Vignaya was a Vignaya. But no. After the play, she says, Krutarthasmi, I am now very satisfied. Shigram gacha, go fast. Atmanam mamcha rakshatu raksha gautamat. She says, protect yourself and me from Gautam. So there is no confusion. It is a consent. It is a mutual consent. But as luck had to have it, Gautam Rishi comes back and he catches them. Okay? Obviously, he is not happy. Which spouse would be? Okay. Tabika ya abika? Which spouse would be? Right? So, he first curses Indra. Usually, it's been told ki Indra ko kuch nahi kiya. No. He first curses Indra. He says, Vifalam bhava, become impotent. And the description comes that his balls fall down. Okay. This is the literal description. The balls fall down and then some, वो जो बकरी का ram, his balls are given to Indra and all that story is there. And to Ahalya, he says, you will stay here. Nirahara vata bhaksha. Not eating anything, drinking only air. What will you do? Tapyanti bhasma shaini. You will do tapasya here. You will stay here. You do tapasya here. Adrashya sarva bhutanam. You will not be seen by anybody. And you will live here. Ashrame asmin vasishyasi. You will stay in that ashram. So there is no pathar here. Okay. But obviously she's been made to do only nirahar, tapasya and stuff. And she accepts it. She could have said, no, I don't want to do. Right? She accepts it. She does tapasya. And then Gautam has told her that once your tapasya is fructified, Sri Ram will come and you will come back to me. Yeah? So then that is the time now when Sri Ram, Lakshman and Vishwamitra ji are going to Mithila. Vishwamitra ji tells this story and he tells Ram, now come, Taraya Devarupinim. Come and do uddhar of this Devarupini. He calls her Devarupini. Even the description, if you read that when they enter, they say she's splendid, she's shining, there is splendor, there's her aura. Dyuti Prabham, like the flame, is her aura. And then when Sri Ram comes, she sees them. Sri Ram and Lakshman see her. She's a Devarupini, Tapaswini. What do? Raghavau tasyaha padau jagrahatu. They both touch her feet. Because she is a Devarupini and Tapaswini. And who better than Vishwamitra can understand that? He had himself fallen so many times to the frailties of human beings. Right? Kam, Krodha, Lobha, Moha we've all had. And after so much tapasya, he had achieved control. How could he have let Ahilya just rot there? He understood this happens. She was willing to accept it. She was willing to go through the Prayaschitta. She had to be given another chance. And that is why even today, Ahalya is called a Panchakanya, Panchasati. So what is it that our epics tell us? First of all, if you see the underlying theme is basically Indriya Nigraha. We should all aim, because Itihas teaches us a lesson. The biggest lesson for me personally is that we all have to aim towards achieving control over our senses, over Kam, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mad, Matsarya. But it's not easy, and that is understood. And that is why there are ways for us to acknowledge. First of all, be aware. Then acknowledge instead of rationalizing. And then work towards it. Life gives us a chance. But we need to acknowledge. And that is what is the underlying theme of our epics. Thank you so much. Jai Shri Ram once again.
Ramayana